So we're going to have just a brief change of program. Our guest speaker, Kevin Powell, is on his way. He's coming here from New York to give us a wonderful presentation on equity, focusing on our students, our population here in this district. And he's a national speaker and focusing on youth advocacy as well. But we're going to change the program. He's on his way from his hotel room. He'll be here soon. But I'm going to go ahead and let Linda Sanford come up and give her presentation ahead of schedule, and then we'll go back to our guest speaker. So Linda works at the district. She is the Interim Associate Vice Chancellor and Special Assistant to the Chancellor, and she's going to be going over our Peralta strategic plan. Thank you.
So I'm the fill-in. Happy New Year. Welcome to everyone. I just want to take a minute to scan the audience and connect with all my previous colleagues. Oh, thanks, Jim.
Now we can see your face.
Oh, well, that's okay. And Jim has provided a handy-dandy clicker, which I've never used before, so here we go. Okay, so I'm here to overview the 2015 strategic plan. What is a strategic plan? When did we develop a strategic plan? So our first effort at developing a strategic plan started in 2006 and was finalized in 2008. And that was a very involved process in which we brought in consultants to help lead us through that process. It was very successful, but here we are now, 2015, almost 7 years later, and it's time to update what we started with. This time, we've done it in-house. So originally, we developed our strategic plan in response to an accreditation recommendation. Fortunately, this time, we're doing it because we think it's a good thing to do. What are our overall planning cycles? How does a strategic plan fit into the everyday operations? Well, in this district, Peralta Community College District, we have 3 major planning cycles. Every year we have an operational cycle, which is guided by our planning and budgeting integration model, what we call the PBIM. And if you remember in the fall, I overviewed an update of the PBIM process. That process is working very successfully via all of our district committees, the Technology Committee, Facilities Committee, Education Committee, and the Planning and Budgeting Council. So that's going on all year long. Every 3rd year, we also do program review. That's a planning cycle. Some of us might think it's a work cycle, but it really is a planning cycle. And we'll be doing program review in the fall of this year, 2015. And then, hypothetically, we do an update of our strategic plan every 6 years. That's what I'm presenting to you today. There will also be another planning cycle that starts again in the fall, and we'll also look at the strategic plan, program review, and PBIM model as we start each academic year. How did we do it this time? How is this time different from when we had MIG consultants? This time, Dr. Ortiz brought me out of retirement to come back and lead the charge. And we reviewed and updated our mission statement in the spring of 2014. It was approved by the Board of Trustees again in June of 2014. Because after all, that's always the first step, in all of our planning cycles. The mission drives everything. Then during the summer and fall, we conducted what's called an external scan. What's an external scan? It's not like a C-scan. It's where we look at data from our surrounding service area. Our service areas are in Alameda County, so we pulled Alameda County data. Then we reviewed our existing strategic goals. Many of you were involved in that. We finalized those strategic goals during the PBIM Summit, which was held in August of 2014. Then we conducted an internal scan. That was in association with accreditation, because we were pulling data for accreditation. We also dug a little deeper and pulled additional data, reviewed it, discussed it, about our internal operations and student success. And then finally, we set institutional objectives. That's something we do every year. Every strategic goal has a set of objectives each academic year. Now, why do we do strategic planning? What's the purpose of this? Well, we want to allocate our resources in a defined way that supports open access and student success. And of course, all of this is driven by our mission. So we always want to... What happened to the slides? You can always count on something going wrong. So we want to ensure that all of our planning, goal setting, and setting of objectives, and measuring those objectives, and resetting goals and objectives is aligned with our mission. What are our existing strategic goals? Here they are. And they're also detailed for you in the draft strategic plan, a copy of which I put in the lobby. Looks like this. Now, this is not the final plan, but this is what we have so far. So we have 5 major goals. These should be familiar to you because these are not new goals. These are goals we revalidated this year. Advanced student access, equity, and success. That should sound familiar. It's in direct alignment with the state strategic goal of advanced student access, equity, and success. Engage and leverage our partners. Build programs of distinction. Strengthen accountability, innovation, and collaboration. And develop and manage resources to advance our mission. So, what are we going to do with all this? Our goals, the data. Well, maybe if we take a look at some of this data, it will inform what we do. One of the most important things I've found is there's been a demographic change. And this is a change in California, in Alameda County, and in our service area. Population is growing. Overall, in Alameda County, it's growing at about a 6% growth rate. However, it's not growing evenly. As you see from these statistics, the population age group that we traditionally serve is not expected to change. It's not expected to grow. But the population age group that I'm a member of, the baby boomers that, I hate to admit it, 60 plus years old, is growing. So that's important information for us as we attempt to serve the needs of our students. So I want to go back a slide. The other major change, demographic change, is a change in the ethnicity percentages of our service area. Statewide, that's a change. We know that in California as a whole, Asian Americans, and that covers a wide variety of groups, and Latino Hispanic Americans are the largest demographic group in the state. Now, when you drill down and look at it in terms of Northern versus Southern California, in Southern California, it's primarily Hispanic Latinos. In Northern California, it's primarily Asians. When you look at Alameda County, it's primarily Asians. When you look at, as you get closer to the water in Alameda County, that number goes up even higher. Well, that's a demographic change that we need to address and recognize. Now, what about population growth versus employment opportunity? Because we are here to provide training for employment. Well, it's expected that job growth is going to outpace population growth by the amounts you see here. However, the job growth is primarily in the service sector industries, and when you drill down into that, it's primarily in healthcare and food service industries. Again, it's a major change, something that we need to plan for. If we have flat population growth, how does that transfer to us as a big institution? That means that it's likely that our full-time equivalent students, FTES, the way we're funded by the state, is also going to mirror that. So FTES in the last 6 years has been flat, and it's projected to remain at that level. Implications for us, that means we need to develop new strategies for attracting and keeping our students. The other big item that has changed and is likely to increasingly change is the fact that employment demands, even in service sector industry, increasingly are requiring degrees and certificates. What have we been doing to meet that need? Well, the state Office of, I forgot their name, Census or whatever, says that we're going to need to have at least 50% more trained people with degrees and certificates in the next 10 years. What have we been doing as an institution? Well, in the past 5 to 6 years, we've only increased that number by 10%. So this is an unmet need that we should address, increasing degrees and certificates. What about students that transfer? The majority of students that we transfer to all institutions are female. The highest percentage are Asian. What does that mean for the student who comes in who's not ready to take college level courses? So taking a look at that, looking at our data for the last 5 to 6 years, there's a big disparity in how students perform who are coming in at what we commonly refer to as the basic skills level. At that level, African American students perform at the lowest percentage. And that's true in English, and also in math. What about distance education? That's being promoted as the new answer to everything, for increasing FTES, to increasing student success measures. Well, our data does not support that. Yes, we've had an increase in the number of distance education or hybrid courses that we're offering. However, student success rates in those courses remains flat. So, what do we see overall? Some things are increasing. The job growth rate, that's wonderful, 13.5%. However, it's primarily in employment, service sector industries. And I cannot emphasize enough, it's primarily in healthcare and food services. Enrollment in distance ed courses is up. However, student success in those courses is not. The number of degrees and certificates remains flat. And overall enrollment is flat. And some things are declining. The number of college-age students in our traditional age grouping of 15 to 24, 25 to 34 is declining. African American success rates in basic skills is declining. And, related directly to you, the number of full-time faculty and staff is declining. It's projected that over 60% of our faculty will retire in the next 10 years. That has implications. So why, again, am I presenting this information to you? It's so that you can be informed I finally got it. As we plan for student success, that you use this data to inform your decision making. That as we plan, we have a long-term view, a 2020 vision, because it is 2015, looking forward 5 years or longer in order to provide opportunities for our students and ensure their student success. Now, in the draft strategic plan is additional data. It drills down even further, and in your institutional self-evaluation reports is a lot of pertinent data. So, sorry to impose this on you, but it is what drives us as an institution and helps us to set objectives that, again, will meet our mission, ensure open access and student success. Do you have any specific questions? Oh, I really was popular, huh? Yes, Chris.
Could you tell us, maybe generally, to what do you attribute this decline in full-time faculty, and if the district decision makers have a strategy for increasing the number of full-time faculty?
I can answer question number 1. Question number 2, I cannot answer. Question number 1, it's the decline in full-time faculty has paralleled our decline in state apportionment funding. As you know, in 2008, with the economic collapse of our large banking and insurance institutions, California suffered. And we were under workload reductions where we received less apportionment money from the state. We're just now starting to climb out of that. So as the economy recovers, I believe we'll receive more apportionment funding, and that will allow us to hire additional faculty and staff. That's a really important thing because, as I said, over 60% of us are due to retire. I retired myself 4 years ago and then was pulled back. That means we not only have to hire new people, but we also have to do additional training. Because as you know, remembering when you were new faculty, you took advantage of a lot of professional development activities to meet the needs of the students we serve. It's under discussion at the district level, and I think it will be an ongoing discussion. Okay. Kathleen. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's a complicated thing, isn't it? Because, okay, so help me if I'm old. I may not remember everything you said. So Kathleen's comment was she sees a dichotomy between the state's emphasis on acceleration and our need to ensure student success. Well, remember, we serve multiple purposes here. So what are those purposes? Certainly to train students for employment, to ensure that they receive their undergraduate training and can transfer, et cetera, maybe even get language skills. I'm saying that because I know you're an ESL instructor. That state push for acceleration maybe would allow us to increase the numbers of degrees and certificates. And that certainly is one of the part of our mission here. At the same time, yes, we need to focus on student success. What does that mean for us? It means we probably should be taking a look at some of the new instructional models, which may or may not include acceleration, but also have additional components that support student success. It's a different way of looking at education, and those of us who were trained 20, 30 years ago may have a tough time with that, but it is something we are going to be looking at. And I know this afternoon's speaker is part of that. He'll be telling you about multiple measures. Instead of using just the traditional assessment placement tests, we look at multiple measures. So there's a variety of exciting and new things that will be coming into the community college arena. Okay, other questions? Is our keynote speaker
I have a
here?
mic here. Here's one right here.
Thank you. I hope the written report has a little more nuance because there was a lot of data that was decontextualized.
Correct.
And was kind of really hard to interpret. And when you present decontextualized data, then people come to their conclusions, and there's not a lot of critical thinking about what the numbers mean. For example, percentage changes in populations,
Right.
well, without reference to the actual absolute numbers of those people doesn't mean anything.
Right.
The flat line thing about the population of our primary service groups, that doesn't mean anything without context around, well,
Right.
What does the job growth mean, right? It
Right.
might mean, job growth
Right.
might mean that people who are less likely to go to college today will be more likely to go to college in 5 years. And so we might actually have more FTEs because of the changing economic situation. So it's kind of a complicated thing. So hopefully the written report has more nuance.
Thank you. It has some, but it's intentionally not too prescriptive. The idea here is to be at the strategic level and present the information and maybe some of the nuances, which are included. There's a paragraph with all of the data, or even a page. And there's a section about megatrends in the report that's worthy of examining also, because it's looking at the really, really big picture. But the intention is not to be totally prescriptive. This is supposed to be a strategic plan, setting a strategic direction for the district, which will then change and become more nuanced as it gets applied at the college level, or the program level, or the course level. Yeah, but that's a very good point. Okay.
Good morning.
Where am I looking, right or left?
Good morning.
Hi, Angela.
How you doing?
Good.
You know, it grieves me to continue to see the downward spiral that we're going in terms of African American students
Yes.
not succeeding.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of data around it. We know it. And I may have missed something, and help me if I have. What is being operationalized? What's an operational, a program or ways to address this? We can't continue to just look at data and not have some kind of movement. We're in a crisis. It's all of our responsibility.
Very good point, and I agree with you. This year, I must commend the Chancellor for involving all of the administration in setting our institutional objectives. That's something new. We'd never done that before. So if you look in the draft document, there are the 2014-15 institutional objectives, which are really what we used to call in planning the activities that would support each of the strategic goals. And there are specific things in there. Do we call out a particular ethnic group in those objectives? No. But they're designed to serve the population we're discussing. Yes.
I appreciate your answer, but what is going on now? We've discussed it to death, really.
So
Is there any movement?
yes, there is.
Because we are in a state of emergency.
Right. And it's recognized here internally between you and I, Angela, at the district level and even at the state level. We have new monies this year. SSSP and equity funding. And those monies are designed to promote student success for less empowered groups. Yes.
But
And-
what are we doing now? Is that what we're doing, looking at the money, or do we have something?
Every campus is different. I'm not at a campus right now, so I can't say, but it's college-based.
Okay.
College-based. Yes. Yep. Thank you, Mario. Yeah. Thank you. So hopefully, before I retire, we'll take a look at that. I can develop a process for that assessment of how we're doing that you can use as a model every year. So this is just the highest level, and now we need to bring it down to the ground. So thank you very much. Our keynote speaker is here. I'm available if you want to discuss this at another time. I'm also holding an open forum next Wednesday from 2 to 4. Bring it all, and we'll talk about it some more at that time. Thank you very much.